So, guys, we're live. Today, we're talking about something that's very, very pertinent to our lives in this 21st century, which is dopamine is dope. That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about dopamine. And for some context, in case someone is feeling a little lost about what dopamine is basically the pleasure hormone that is secreted in our brains whenever we do anything, right? So there's dopamine and there's serotonin. So these are associated with victory, or even something like sex, for example. Like anything, anytime you do something good, your brain rewards you with dopamine. And that is one of the most potent driver of human behavior, essentially. And you can just call us essentially as dopamine seeking creatures, and it wouldn't be too wrong. So today we're talking about dopamine. And to start off this, I would just ask Akshay to put in some thoughts.
Yeah, right. So I want all of you us to excuse us because Shaurya is a little bit under the hood. He's a little bit sleepy. Also, we asked him to wake up at 6:30 London time.
Good
Shaurya, can
morning
you
to
hear
you
us?
two guys. Good morning
Yeah,
to you two guys.
we just asked him in the middle of the day to wake up and record a podcast because we just felt like that. But I'm not sure, Vesa, actually, how many of you have seen Social Dilemma on Netflix. So it's a very popular web series which went live 1.5 month back, but it was very insightful. And the only message it left us with was that how Instagram, Facebook, or any social media per se was hooking us on to dopamine and making us stay on these platforms longer and longer just to get their ulterior motives to get fulfilled. What was their motive? To show us as many ads as possible to make more money. But ultimately, they were hooking us on their platform with all the dopamine hits, with the infinite scroll, wherein you just keep scrolling and there's no end to it. You just get small dopamine hits out of it and you get hooked to those platforms. The whole point of getting this podcast recorded is so that we can tell you how we also remove those kind of social dilemma. And we are also not completely there, but we have been experienced for the past 1 year or 2 years per se to remove those basically hooking objects from our lives as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure about that given how active our third uh, podcast member Shaurya is on social media. But again,
I
the point being, there's a flip side to everything, right? So which is what we want to sort of get across through this podcast, that there are obviously ways around the instant dopamine hits and the instant gratification of the modern world. And again, the reason we have named it dopamine is dope is because we don't want to be proponents of we should all go on a dopamine detox, because essentially dopamine detox cannot even exist. You are biologically wired to get instant level of dopamines, right? If nothing else, if you are in social isolation in terms of everything, plant and get that dopamine hit, because we are wired for that biologically speaking. So which is why you cannot really remove dopamine from your life, but we can definitely moderate it and sources of dopamine that we get into our life. And that is the process of doing that, and making a conscious effort to do that is what we want to cover in this. So I think Shaurya, would you like to go ahead with your thoughts on how you explored this territory?
Okay, first of all, I am awfully active on social media. And I own up to it, okay? Like I know the kind of dopamine hit that I get when I post something. Like if you ask my friends over here, like who are physically around me, they will tell you that when I post my story, I look at it 100 times in the 24 hours that it exists. Okay. And the reason behind it, I think, is it is the dopamine, right? Because you've posted a story, first thing you are wondering, how am I looking? By the 50th time, you are wondering, is it a good story? Did I make a mistake by posting this story? And you become a little self-conscious. And then by the end of it, you're just like, oh, okay, fuck it. Like now I posted it, it's there. 100 people have watched it. Now I can't retract it anyways. Um, so yeah, but I kind of I think I did see a Naval's tweet as well that you mentioned, Devansh, which was on the modern devil is cheap dopamine. It was really cool. I think actually I think the ancient devil is cheap dopamine as well. That was what I was able to extract as well, because dopamine today
Absolutely.
because dopamine today exists as you have pornography or stuff like that today, but things like that existed back then as well. And people had games like, I don't know, running after, like bulls running behind them, or the games where people are like killing each other and stuff like that. That's all a part of kicking dopamine, right? People go there to watch it. And I think it's I think all success in life kind of boils down to a very I was reading about this called the marshmallow test. It's wherein you have a kid who's holding
It's the kids, right?
himself.
About delayed gratification, if they pick up the marshmallow or not. It's that one, right?
But yes, yeah, it's
Hmm.
where a kid is eating a marshmallow, but then holding himself from eating a marshmallow to get two marshmallows. And I think and they kind of the study kind of used this as a predictor for future successes. And I think that does not kind of replicate well.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, on the marshmallow test, right? Essentially, their thesis was you have two kids. You give them an option. There is one marshmallow in front of you, or you can have it right now, or you can choose to not have it today, but tomorrow you get two marshmallows, and then it just continues on that cycle.
Hmm.
These kids for the next 20 correlation that they drew ultimately was that the kids who actually delayed that process of getting that
They
marshmallow.
delayed those marshmallows, as in
Yeah.
they didn't choose to get one right now. They chose to get two tomorrow.
Yes, and the more they did it, right, it was a leap of success that they achieved in their life, right? Again, success has different definitions, but what they
Right.
defined was, success in academic, success in terms of the monetary financial terms, the most commonly accepted template definition of success. The kids who delayed it the most is the ones who were actually more successful in life. That sort of goes against our human biology, if you think of it that way, right? The reason we chase
Mhm.
dopamine, right? This is very interesting because until you understand this, you can never really get away from chasing dopamine until you understand why you chase dopamine. The reason we chase dopamine is when we evolved, right? From right all the way, from apes to humans, and before that, even mammals and aquatic animals, right? The entire evolution cycle. First, what we developed is a spinal reflex, right? So there was no brain. First, what we developed was a spinal reflex, which is what you see in a lot of aquatic animals as of now. What that does is that is a stimuli. You touch me, I'll instantly do something. You see it even in plants, right? Touch me nots. You touch the other person, so that just reacts to stimuli, zero level of thinking. Post that, as we evolve to mammals, let's say a deer, for example, right? What the limbic system, which is where dopamine comes to the effect. The limbic system is essentially the threat detection system. You know there is a gun or a hunter pointing at you, the deer will run, right? The deer does not understand that this is a hunter and or this is a gun or this will kill me. But the limbic system, it is just wired in a way that over generations evolution, it detects it as a threat. So we develop the limbic system. So because now there is threat, there is also pleasure in life, right? There is always a duality to everything. Because there was threat, there was also pleasure, and that is where the dopamine system started getting in built out, was in the limbic system. So you see it in the deers or even apes, for example, right? And finally, as humans, we developed the prefrontal cortex and the lobes, right? So even our chimps have a certain prefrontal cortex, less developed. But as humans now, we can think about the fact that there was a hunter pointing that gun to the deer, right? So if you think about it, now we can have this conversation on dopamine that we are using our prefrontal cortex for, that we can recognize, okay, this is dopamine. But instinctively, we are still biologically wired to our limbic system. If there is ever a fight between the limbic system and the prefrontal cortex, the limbic system often wins. And the reason for that is it is more fundamental to us as animals, right? Which is why the limbic system wins, which is also why you see why is there a lot of infidelity in humans, right? There is a lot of cheating in relationships, if you think of it that way. That is also a way to secure dopamine, because at that moment prefrontal cortex is telling you this is probably something that goes against my morality, or this is wrong. But your limbic system, right, it's chasing that dopamine, that sex, that orgasm at that point. And this is primarily what is happening to you. And this is why this is exactly the circuit that, the as he mentioned, right, the social dilemma and the social media is exploiting. This is the exact dilemma that is exploited in advertising, for example, right? and this is the dopamine hit that everyone is sort of chasing. So in saying that, this is again, this is us being animals at a very brutal core level. But again, there are positive sides to it as well, because without dopamine, there would be no human motivation, right? Ultimately, if I had no dopamine giving it to me, I am the laziest person on earth. I just sit in my bed all day, do absolutely nothing, right? So in that way, that is also what drives all progress and human motivation.
No, there was this thing where you said ki there is a huge constant battle between the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. Whenever somebody is looking for a new sex drive, is that the thing you tell to all of the chicks you keep bouncing on? Ki, I'm sorry, but I was talking to my prefrontal cortex just right now, but limbic system, fuck the world. Is that the exact thing your Tinder bio consists of, or what?
Okay, moving
I
on.
was
Firstly, I
was
am not
low-key
interested, right?
hoping. I was low-key hoping that
No, no,
does
no. I
not
was
come
very
up.
glad when he mentioned all of this because I was happy to know ki fuck this prefrontal cortex versus the limbic system. But when he mentioned about this scene where the sex drive is guided by our limbic systems, I was like, fuck yes, this is definitely what he's telling to all of
But
his girls.
isn't that all of us? I mean, ultimately, the comical side aside, right?
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
on a very biological level, if you think about it, a lot of the things that we do in life are actually related to sex and hence related to dopamine, whether it's even success or monetary
Everything is not
success.
related to sex. Everything is not related to sex.
No, but see, I understand the point you're trying to make, right? Not related to sex, but even if you think something like money, right? Success, you are getting a big car, you're getting a Ferrari to signal potentially to other people that, I am a sexually viable mate. You don't do it consciously, but it's a very unconscious
That's the
thing
social
that we do.
signaling aspect of it, right?
Exactly. And
Right.
that's driven by sex. Like the output of social signaling is ultimately to acquire sex. That's just evolution, right? Darwinian theory, natural selection and survival and replication, reproduction. So I think that's where, I was heading on that tangent. But yeah,
But I
Saurabh.
think it kind of hooks back to what Akshay started off the topic initially, which is the social dilemma, right? Because we keep coming back to it. It's the social side of. I think the dopamine kind of brings a lot of the social side in you because it's kind of okay. I'm okay. You kind of, let's say you crave sex, right? But you don't crave sex with everyone. You crave it with one person that will fit your social setting, right?
Right.
Or someone who will fit that social setting. So your dopamine does not just kick in on anyone, like, right? Like if it's a Honda or if it's a Toyota, your dopamine might not kick in. It will kick in on a Ferrari. So is it like my thought is kind of like on I'm thinking in terms of his dopamine, or like you mentioned cheap dopamine and the other kinds of is that probably is I think set by the society. So the society says that,
Oh,
oh, a Ferrari is a fast car,
they
and
outlay all of this. Ki
One
Ferrari is apparently the best dopamine you can get.
100%.
exactly,
100%. It
exactly,
is 100% society driven,
Driven.
ultimately, right?
yeah.
I mean, a lot of things that you do in life are ultimately society driven, socially driven, because you live in a society, you interact with other humans, and that is the base state of participation as a human being, is to live in a community, is to interact with other people. So hence it
Yeah.
is socially driven in that sense, right?
Breaks up to that only point, na, that everyone was happy also. So that's the whole point. You're trying to find dopamine in what society claims that this is a good way to find dopamine. For example, cheap dopamine examples can be alcohol, drugs, anything. This is what society states that if you have alcohol, you're cool apparently, and if you want to talk to somebody instead of that, just drown in alcohol and try to get that dopamine hit instead of talking to somebody about your problems. That's what society
Exactly.
states, that if you do this, this is the best way to look cool and this is the best way to get instantly gratified also. So everything
Hmm.
is driven because of society.
No, for
Hmm.
sure. So, I mean, the exact example that you use, right? Regarding, let's say, alcohol, drugs versus, and this, brings me to my point of there is, irrefutable good sources of dopamine as well.
100%.
Because now in the morning, right, when I'm waking up, I have a choice. Now, the alcohol and the drugs will give me dopamine, and that is a cheap source of dopamine because it's low effort for me. Our brains are wired to minimize our human effort. Ultimately, they are machines that optimize us really well, right? So which
Mm-hmm.
is why our brains often push us in the way to not, for example, work out instead of go, if you give me an option that I can either work out or I can either just have alcohol, drugs and sex and drown myself in that, on a limbic system level, the second option sounds a lot more appealing, which is why things like exercise and things that require discipline, not a lot of people are able to be very, very consistent with that. And we have that internal tussle, for example, because, exercise also gives you dopamine. It gives you a sense of accomplishment, but that is more expensive dopamine in this sense. It is more of an effort you put in to acquire that dopamine, versus sex, drugs, and alcohol is a way cheaper way to acquire the same level of dopamine, right? So this is a clear distinction that you can do. And in situations like these, you can either let your limbic system win and go for the cheap dopamine, or you can have that thought of that prefrontal cortex. And that is just my point that I'm trying to bring out through this podcast, is whenever you have such decisions in life, whenever you have a process that you are following, there are always going to be instances wherein cheap dopamine seems a lot more tempting, right? However, that is when you take a step back, take a deep breath, and realize, okay, this is the game my brain is playing with myself. I don't want to go to workout because I can just stay at home, watch something on Netflix, or just eat something, and that is a cheaper source of dopamine. That is what my brain is doing to myself, right? And that is when you can catch your brain doing that to yourself and be like, no, I'm going to go and get that workout in, because it's, again, comes back to the marshmallow test. It's delayed gratification, but it's better for me in the longer run.
I think everything roots down to this one debate also. Sorry to cut you there, yeah. Just one thing. What's the longest battle ever known to humankind is right now, it's prevailing, is instant gratification versus delayed gratification. So as Devansh mentioned, there's always a fight going on between the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. So what's instant gratification apart from alcohol? Basically, how much time would it take for you to cook a meal, actually prepare all the ingredients and have it and be then gratified, versus ordering anything off of Swiggy and Zomato right now? Or maybe there's another app called Grub there in UK. Ordering anything off the menu right now versus taking your time to cook a meal, prepare all the ingredients, let the water boil, and then have it calmly and peacefully. That gratification is much better than the instant gratification you get from Swiggy. But it's expensive. That's the whole point.
And expensive in terms of effort, right? Just to be clear.
Expensive in terms of effort, definitely. But if everyone here realizes the final outcome of what delayed gratification can have, not over a period of time also, everyone wins then. Everyone wins when we realize why delayed gratification is better than instant gratification. How maybe just talking to someone about your problems is better than just drowning in alcohol or resorting to drugs at the end of the day. How your job satisfaction takes over a period of time and not comes in instantly. You can't change the world in one day. It takes some amount of time to gather in.
I could feel it in my heart when Akshay said drowning your problems in sorrow, because I've seen I could feel him just put out his agony.
That actually brings a nice extension to Naval's point, which was the modern devil is cheap dopamine. There's an extension to it, which is self-improvement is modern God. And today we live in an age where we in an age of anxiety and abundance, and honestly, if you're not consciously trying to avoid these modern pitfalls that you guys mentioned, then it's almost near to impossible not to fall into addiction or like sort of instant gratification that you mentioned, and addictive digital stimuli, for instance, with the social dilemma. I feel the modern struggle today is to sort of stand up to these weaponized addictions. So junk food, social media, pornography, which give you small doses of pleasure, but they expose you to a lot of misery of their absence. And even worse, they offer like distractions, which we often use in destructive projects of self-avoidance. So instead, I think people must really focus on self-improvement, to constantly engage with yourself in order to grow towards more of like a long-term goal, like you mentioned, delayed gratification, trying to upskill yourself with maybe, cooking, like your chef skills, not for that end meal that you really want to have, but just that process of valuing that end meal in the end, even if it's half burnt, you will probably love that meal because of the process that you performed in achieving it, right?
I think there's something very profound that, a couple of words that you said that I really liked. It was weaponized addiction, right? If you think about it, no, because it's so true, right? It's so
Yeah.
true, and it is so evident. It's right in front of us. The things you mentioned, whether it's pornography, whether it's social media, whether it's this cultural bias towards having a nightlife and drowning yourself in alcohol and drugs or whatever, right? It's so
Mm-hmm.
evident of how it's actually right in front of us, and we're all consciously aware of these calls that we are taking, right? But we still choose to do that,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, right? So that is how essentially I genuinely believe that I don't think there's any one person who we are to blame that this person has done it or this organization has done it, but that's just how the world has sort of very gradually, but yet very notably degenerated into that sort of process of
Mm-hmm.
weaponizing all of these things, and it's just exploiting our biology against us to achieve a certain outcome and action that they want from us, particularly, right? So I think, yeah, that is something that was very profound there. But on in saying that, so just to move towards a little bit more actionable things, right? So we have discussed the concept and what is really causing it, but to move towards, okay, what can we really do about it, and something that's actionable, that has
Mm-hmm.
worked personally for me, right? Again, not meaning to give just like unsolicited advice here, but because
Mm-hmm.
I know I am genuinely like the laziest person, and I am probably the most prone to addictions of dopamine than more than most people I know.
Mm-hmm.
So what is something that has worked really well for me is sort of trying to replace those sources of dopamine with other sources of dopamine that are potentially better and more delayed in nature, and they don't give you a spike in that sense,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what we are
Mm-hmm.
chasing is our base state of dopamine is this as we're going throughout our day. When we engage in any of these activities, it spikes up and then it goes back to the same level, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is how typically it happens. So instead of chasing these spikes, if you can sort of train yourself to move towards things that are a process in itself, that are not results driven. When you post a photo on social media, Shaurya, you are expecting a result. For example, I mean, all of us post, right? Not to specifically refer to anyone, but we are all expecting results there, right? So for example, let's say I'm expecting 50 likes or 100 likes, any X number of likes. Okay, yeah, then it's a success. And if it's not that, then I don't get the same dopamine spike, and that causes anxiety in yourself, right? If you look towards anxiety, that is also a consequence of why we are the most anxious generation, is also because we are
Yeah.
the most dopamine chasing generation.
What are the number of
Yeah.
likes do you expect on your social media posts?
I actually, I don't, it's more of like who likes them than how many like them for me, to be very honest.
Who do you want
Uh,
to like the photos?
no, in general, I'm just
Fine,
saying it's
fine. That's
about
very
who is
candid. That's
liking
how
my,
very
you
blunt,
know,
right?
my friends, shut up, my friends liking them, etc., and stuff like that. But coming back to the point and escaping the situation, it just boils down to long-term versus short-term goals, right? And I think if you can just adopt long-term thinking in your mindset, you will sort of have an easier life. Or if I put it in a way, I think hard choices, then easy life, but easy choices, hard life, right? So can you take a long-term view in anything? It's compound
100%,
interest, right? It involves
right, right.
everywhere: relationships, money, fitness. Can you change your
That's
habits in a way
compound
that
effect,
you
yeah.
are reading more, or eating right, or have an exercise routine which you can follow every day or consistently, which Devansh rightly mentioned. What he's doing is trying to replace the sources of dopamine with things that he loves doing but are also good for him, right?
Yeah.
A lot about, like, for example, it's about finding the hacks that make these long term goals seem effortless to you. For instance, I love working out now or eating
Hmm.
right. I never used to. Now I do.
Hmm.
And that's because I kind of wired myself in such a way that I know I love this group of healthy foods that fit my diet. And I know that this is the playlist that I love to hear, which allows me to push myself to go and train at the gym. And then there are some exercise that I love doing every day, record myself and put it on the social media, which allows me to captivate myself at the end of the day, right? I haven't had a glass of Coke or fizzy drinks in 2 or 3 years now. Not even coffee. I try to stay away from caffeine as much as I can. I've just found my hack. I've just found my hack to reach the long term goal. That's it. With my training and my, eating right. For instance, I've always thought, how can I, fall in love with running, because I was always tedious to running. And this, I think, when I moved into London recently, I think this was the perfect opportunity for me to fall in love for running, especially when the lockdown came on again recently. It was the perfect opportunity, because then I could go outside, run, explore the city. Gyms closed down, so even though I have a personal trainer who comes and trains me at home, but I do 5Ks around the city at least twice a week, which I love, and I know I will continue to I will continue to run even post lockdown gets lifted, and I'm able to go to the gym. But I just think these for me have been two really good sources of
Right.
dopamine right now.
Yeah. So yeah.
So yeah, to be very honest, guys, if anybody's still left watching this podcast, these two on the call are a perfect example of how they've beaten their limbic system's desires and overachieved with their prefrontal cortex's callings. They've both lost tremendous amounts of weight and everything. But if you ever want to know how it feels like to unachieve those goals, to after achieving the goals, give in to the instant gratifications and to feel where I've reached. So I also lost like from 105 to around 75 to 80 kgs. And that was obviously over a period of time after continuous effort. But after I reached that peak or a milestone, I just gave into a lot of instant gratification sort of a thing, wherein I started eating late at night, or maybe I started giving into a little bit of more cheap dopamines, which I would not like to mention over the podcast. But eventually, after giving into these instant gratifications and believing it's fine, it's all right, after I've achieved this goal, it won't matter to me. I gained back all of my weight over another couple of periods of months. But after gaining back all my weight, it did not feel good at all, because I was still giving into the instant gratifications, but I was not getting that same dopamine hit at all.
Yeah.
The
So
same dopamine hit went and vanished back again. But to be very honest, past 2 months have been a blessing in disguise for me. After the healthy company took off, I finally took a call. Ki I have to stop giving into these things. Then Devansh and Saurav were up back to gymming again. So they were actually really inspirational for me. So I have started all of these things back. I have lost a couple of pounds here and there, but I know for a fact that it's going to take me time to get back to my original level. But I'm fine with that completely, because I understand what delayed gratifications outcomes will be over a period of time.
yeah. So I think what Akshay said, right? Again, this is just going to connect sort of the emptiness of certain actions that's inherent, right? So when we talk about cheap dopamine, right? Whether it's whatever, food, alcohol, drugs, sex, etc., social media, at the end of it, if you really think, right, if you really dig deep as to why you're doing it, you will often find there is some or the other level of insecurity or fear that is just causing you to act out in these ways. As Professor Richard Feynman has a very famous quote which went like, the first rule is that you must know that you're the easiest to fool, right? That you must know you're the easiest to fool, and that this is how we're doing. This is why we're doing all of these things. So, which is why you see in life there are activities, and most activities there is a high and then there is a low, right? It's a sinusoidal curve in that sense. There is, so you get drunk, have a lot of fun, whatever, and then there is a low the next day where there is a feeling of emptiness, essentially, because now you don't have access to that alcohol. You can't drink 20 alcohol 24/7, or if you can, I mean, I have respect for you, but also I feel sorry for you at the same time. But you can't do that 24/7, right? So there is an inherent emptiness at the core of it, right? And ultimately, so what you talked about running, right? Which is why things like runners high, things like working out, things like eating right, things like meditation, for that example, things like writing, expressing yourself, whether it's through poetry or any form of art, all of these activities have a common tangent, that these highs do not necessarily have a low associated with them, right? So there can be these some activities which have a high because the high exists in the process itself. The dopamine kick is in the process itself, the process of writing, the process of eating right. I feel good in just the fact that I did that action. And that's the beauty of things like these, right? And eventually, I mean, after a lot of dopamine chasing, essentially, right, you develop a sense of calmness when you have won a lot and you've lost a lot. Again, been through a lot of curves in that sense, won a lot and lost a lot. That's when you develop that sense of calmness, that you're able to recognize, okay, this is what's triggering this dopamine chasing action in me at this particular time. And that's how I can go towards resolving it. And then you can finally make those better calls, make those more conscious calls. It's just adding a delay, a lag between the first thing that your limbic system tells you and versus taking those 10 seconds to just think about it. And that makes all the difference.
I think the biggest problem with the mindset of today's generation that I've seen is they are
which
more.
we're a part of.
Which we're a part of. Yeah.
Not
I
to
know
sound
we are
like
a.
grumpy old.
I know.
All three
I
of
know
us
we
face
are a
these
part
problems
of.
on a regular basis. Yeah.
No, I know we are a part of, and I know we face those problems, but we've kind of reached I think me personally, I've reached that stage. I think where I've been able to tweak my mindset into a more into the right direction. That's how I feel it. Because I personally I can relate, right? People today, kids today, our generation, they are more goal driven, right? They say, oh, I want to be an influencer. Oh, I want to be a millionaire. Oh, I want to be like whatever. I want to be the best chef, whatever. But I think instead of goal driven, that's fine. I think people need to be process driven. They need to actually try to fall in love with what is the process that works up to their goal really. If I want to lose weight, but I don't like going to the gym, I will never lose weight. No matter how much I can pay, I can get the most expensive gym membership in the whole world. I will not. That's why when I think that's the reason why it never worked out for me in the first place before I got a personal trainer. Because when I got a personal trainer, he made me fall in love with the process of going to the gym. The process of trying to integrate gym as a lifestyle, working out as a lifestyle instead of sort of just like a chore, just like a task to do. I think a lot about diet and exercise is just finding what looks like fun to you. If you don't like going to the gym, it's fine. Try to find what looks like fun to you. It might look like work to others, but it would be fun to you, and that is something that you can, that sustains you for that long-term goal. For example, finding that healthy food that you think is delicious, and then learning the recipes around it. Cooking that food for yourself. This way, you will not just feed your long-term goals, but your short-term pleasures as well, right? So, if, for example, I love donuts, right? Okay, and I one day of the week I have a cheat day, and I stuff my face with everything, whatever I want from 12 a.m. to the following day, and it's fine. Like it works out perfectly for me, right? But then there's also healthy food, like for example, avocados, right? I always hated avocados, but then I was like, let me give it a try. I tried making avocado on toast with some chili flakes and lemon juice, and I love it. I thought that I hated avocados, and then that's integrated. I love eating meat. I'm a chicken person. Okay, some vegetarians out there listening to us would probably hate me, but I don't really give a shit. Like, it's fine. I'm being blunt right now. I am a non-vegetarian. I love chicken, and it's a part of my diet because that's where my protein comes from. And I think it's just finding these right hacks that kind of really push you towards that direction. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I mean, essentially,
Sounds good,
just dials back in, right? If I had to conclude essentially on that note, that, it just dials back down to find that dopamine in the process of doing things, right? Find that dopamine in that process, and find that dopamine in actions that do not have a significant low after a high, right? And that can only come
Yeah,
when it's a process and it's not driven by a specific result, right? The moment
yeah,
you peg progress and you peg how you feel to certain results, to certain outcomes, that is when the problem starts, because you may achieve those, but there will also be a time when things change, right? There will
mm-hmm,
also be, to Akshay's point, right, there will also be a time
mm-hmm,
when things change. And at those moments, ultimately, what really drives you is if you're genuinely in love with the process of it and with the journey. I mean, ultimately, even you could say the same thing about life, right? It's not a destination. The ultimate destination is death, essentially, for each
mm-hmm,
of us, right? But does that mean that we do not live? Right? Does that mean
mm-hmm,
that because we know that we are going to die, we stop living. No, right? Which is the point. We fall in love with the process of life. Otherwise you can just be hyper realistic and be depressed because eventually everyone is going to die, right? But you don't do that, and you still chase that dopamine, right? So this is why dopamine is dope, because it motivates you on that front, right? It may be the modern devil, but you can also just knowing this information and knowing how your brain reacts to it, you can control it, you can make it a force of good, and it can be the greatest motivator for you personally, right? And I think that is why essentially we just want to end this on the note that yes, dopamine is dope.
I actually have a really good idea to conclude this episode. How about we be blunt and each one of us mentions, because I know we are not perfect, right? Let's mention one good dopamine that each one of us have, and one cheap dopamine that each one of us have. And then we can conclude this episode and we can leave our viewers on that thought.
Actually crop that out if you're going to be very blunt right now. Will you crop that out?
No, that's the point.
No, that's the point. This is not getting
That's the
cropped out.
point.
It'll be completely blunt and transparent.
Akshay, I
So
want
the
you to
bo-
start this.
Yeah.
Okay,
Come on, Akshay.
the cheapest dopamine I think I have is I got a late night snack cravings a lot of the times, and while
Okay.
I try to control them, but no, that's a very tough part for me to control. But the
Okay.
best good thing I think I've done is, as in the more expensive dopamine hit, or you can say a little bit better when I feel better after those, is I've started rolling my own joints instead of using bong shots. So it takes a lot of process and it takes a while, but after that first hit, it's really, really fulfilling and rewarding for me.
Completely defeated the point. Completely defeated the point there. But yeah, Shaurya, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so I'll go with the cheapest dopamine first. I think my cheapest dopamine is very similar to Akshay. I think sometimes I cheat on my, I have these moods. So I'm usually a very happy person, but sometimes I go into these moods where I don't know, there's no reason for it, but I'm in like a very down mood, and I'll finish like a whole tub of Haagen-Dazs salted caramel. I'll get it from downstairs Sainsbury's and I'll just finish it in one go, because I don't want to keep it for long. Otherwise, I'll mess up with my routine every single day. So I find it better to just like binge on it and watch a bit of Netflix. So that's like my cheapest dopamine, I think. My good dopamine is obviously very evident. My diet and exercise, mainly exercise, because I'm very strict on it, and I don't miss a day because it just makes me a very sad kid.
Got it. No, makes sense. For me, I think personally, in terms of cheap dopamine, right? I think in the spirit of being blunt, right? And I think there's not one, but there's many. But if I had to sort of see the overarching ones, which I feel have really had an impact on my life up till yet, it would be, I believe, sex and social gratification and substance. Essentially, right? These three things again. And I genuinely feel it's a common problem, not just with me, but as a generational problem overall, right? So again, sex, social gratification, and substance being the three things. And I think what has really helped me, and again, it's a process, right? I don't think any of us here claim to be perfect in any capacity, but it's a process. But what really helped me is replacing it with work, meditation, and working out. Essentially, right? I mean, I've really simplified my life to the point, just work, meditate, and work out. These are the three non-negotiables you do every day,
Same.
regardless of how shitty you're feeling, regardless of how low on energy you are, regardless of whatever else you want to be doing, right? And then you can fill up the day with other shots of instant dopamine, whether it's this or whether it's that, anything, right? But you work out, and you meditate.
Yeah.
These are
That's it.
non-negotiables that you peg your life to. And I think that this is something that's very simple, that you start with these three simple basic actions, you're automatically going to see changes in your life, automatically going to deprioritize the things that I mentioned or we have mentioned.
Absolutely.
Here, and you're going to automatically start prioritizing the right things, because you are making that conscious call right in the morning every day that these three are non-negotiables in my life. And this is where I will focus my energies on. Whatever is left after this, it's a free ride for you, right? We're all humans, we're all animals driven by dopamine at the end of the day, right? Again, in the spirit of imperfection and being blunt.
Right?
But
It's the same.
Yeah.
If you win the first hour of your morning, then you win the day. That's the whole point.
Yes. Yes.
and
Correct.
it's also the story you tell yourself about yourself, right? I tell myself a story that I am the person who works out, and who meditates. So I do that
Yeah.
consistently every day. And I think meditation also helps you in, resolving these stories, but
There's
that's
a
separate.
there's a very
I
good
think
application. I think I mentioned it on our Instagram as well. It's called Headspace. So if you guys really want to get into meditating, download the app. I'll put the link in the
Is
description below.
Headspace sponsoring you, Shaurya? I mean, is there some commercial angle to it we don't know? Are we sponsored by
There
anything? Because
is
I mean,
we
I
are
don't use
not,
Headspace. Just saying,
but
I
these
don't
are
use
good
Headspace. I
tools.
just
I
meditate without
personally
any app.
use
The
I use
traditional old way,
Headspace.
right?
I use Headspace, and it is a
Okay.
beautiful app. I get it from my work, and it's amazing. Like it really helped me try to calm myself down and manage my emotions, my anger, and everything. But yeah,
Sure,
I
man. I
think
mean, whatever works for you works for you. I mean, for me,
yeah,
it's again without apps, without anything. It's just my time.
No, there's very different forms of
that's good.
meditation. Which is
Exactly. I
all
mean, whatever
Yeah,
works,
right. Yeah.
whatever works for you works for you. It's
yeah.
just the purpose of meditation, right? People think
It's
you're gonna
just
meditate and
yeah.
become something else. It's not. It's
No,
just
it's
having
not
that
that.
Baba
layer
Ramdev
of lag
saying
between your limbic system and what you are emotionally driven to do, and just thinking about it. That's all it does, but it works.
yeah,
But I think, yeah, that's for another podcast. So just to end this,
yeah.
on that note, again, guys,
Dopamine is dope. That's how we end
dopamine is dope.
it. So we're just gonna end this podcast by saying I think dopamine is dope, and we should ask our. I think I'm gonna ask all the viewers who are watching. They should be blunt, right? So be blunt and
Sure.
comment down below, or DM us. What is your cheap dopamine? What is your good dopamine? We'd love to hear more about what sort of types of dopamines exist out there. But yeah, I think until then we can just conclude by saying dopamine is dope.
Yeah, and
Dopamine is dope.
if you try and be honest about what's really a cheap dopamine, the moment I started saying out loud to my friends and in public, again, it's a moment of vulnerability, but it
Yeah,
really helps you work on it. The moment there's social accountability, the moment you just said it out there, that this is what I really feel is driving my life in terms of the negative aspect of dopamine, it'll really help you. So be very honest in the comments, guys. I mean, I don't think there's
yeah,
anyone here to judge you. Just
yeah, exactly.
definitely not
Yeah,
the three of us.
yeah,
But yeah, great.
And if there's anyone out there who wants Devansh to go visit a sex addiction clinic, they can definitely drop their support there. If we get 5 comments, that if Devansh wants to go to a sex addiction clinic, I'll personally drop him there.
My God, what is it with this slut shaming? My God.
oh, very good.
And a proper time. Okay?
Yeah,
3,
sounds
2,
good. 3.
1,
Dopamine is dope.
dope.